Hey, we're live. It's the Over Under podcast. We're known as the Bankroll Boys. Nice little outline. I got to give Nick Gemelli credit for it, even though I don't want to. Whoa! I just opened up the screen, Dan. We look huge.
Yeah, we do.
Anyways, so it's Thursday Night Football. So generally, what we do is we do a live broadcast. And Dan, I don't know if everything's out there right now because I had to switch some things over. I had to go from Twitter, the new system that we have. I just want to make sure that we're live and everything looks good. All right, we are. Yep. All right, cool. I'm gonna retweet us out there and let's get it going today. Thursday Night Football. We got, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the winless Jacksonville Jaguars tonight. And we also have Thursday Night Football when it comes to college football tonight, as Miami takes on Virginia. And then, of course, there's 3 games to display on Friday. So I hope everything is working out well right now. I only see 3 viewers, Dan. So
no, it's more than that.
I only see
it's okay. Yeah, no, it's much more than that. So you're good. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you know what that might be? It might just be showing me YouTube.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. We have a new system here. They were like, yeah, no more. What's it called? Whatever. Dan, we're going to talk about a game that's not the Patriots and the Bucks. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can. We've talked about that plenty this morning.
All right. So let's talk. You had this thing about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, pre-COVID, Dan, pre-COVID, where you said it doesn't matter what the line is, just take the team that you like.
Yep.
Which if you go with that, it has kind of hit a little bit. But for tonight's game in the NFL in particular, the line's moved, okay, which is a big factor. We know Jacksonville's over. We know they've been terrible against the spread. I think there's like a year's worth of like bad against the spread. Okay.
Yep.
So is tonight one of these games where we just say, wow, the Bengals are better whenever Joe Burrow has been favored in the spot they've covered? And granted, that last time was against the Jaguars, different team. So I just look at it here. It's Bengals or nothing. I need something, Dan, to back the Jaguars because my eyeballs tell me they're not good, and I don't know if I'd even like them on a short week.
Yeah, so again, not in what is not a surprise, I completely disagree with you. This spot is absolutely Jaguars or nothing. This is Bengals coming off a big divisional win against a big emotional divisional win against a rival in the Steelers. And again, they dominated that game. They were definitely the better of the two teams. And the Bengals have looked really good this season. Like I don't want to take anything away from them in their credit. Like they beat the Vikings in a week 1 game where I thought they were, the better team for most of that game, even though we both like Minnesota, prior to season. That game just as a team. I faded them against the Bears, I faded them against the Bears, and obviously we're right about that. That game, it looks a lot closer than it actually was. The Bengals scored a couple times late. They made that a game because Justin Fields came in. Andy Dalton was hurt. Fields clearly is not ready for the NFL. I think that's pretty obvious. And then, of course, the Steelers last week, I thought the Bengals were in a great spot. We talked about them. I leaned that way. But this is coming off, Joe, in my opinion, a short week against a team that I thought last week looked the best that they have all season. Now, they weren't awesome. They didn't win the game against the Cardinals. They didn't even cover. Cardinals come up late, and they cover that game. But the Jaguars were in that game. The Jaguars scored 13 points against the Broncos. Like, the Jaguars, despite that week 1 loss to the Texans, which was bad, and by the way, you were all over the Texans, credit to that. But that being said, the Jaguars have not looked as horrible as we thought. And I'm starting to think maybe the Broncos are underrated. They open as a pick'em this week against Baltimore. They actually opened -1 against Baltimore. Now it's a pick'em. So they were, they opened as a favorite in that side against a good Ravens team. You just beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, and then the Jaguars had a really good first half performance. The second half got away from them for sure. But in my opinion, Bengals on a short week, coming off a week where they probably looked ahead to a big divisional game, and now they're looking ahead probably to the Packers next week, hosting Green Bay at home. I think this is a Jaguar spot or absolutely nothing. Now, the Jaguars do have the Titans next week, but they're also not a team that is able or, fortunately good enough to look past any of these games. So I think they have a real chance here to win tonight. The spread opened 4.5. What that tells me is that books really thought that this was going to be, within a touchdown. Otherwise, they're opening that, especially in a primetime game. You've talked about how books, really like to jack up these numbers on these primetime games, and that's true. That has long been a thing. And so now they kind of jacked it up 4.5. Now it's 7.5. Some places 8. There's some 9s out there, local books. Not that they're Jews. I think it's like 9-125, but they're out there. I really like the Jaguars in the spot. I don't know if it's quite PPable for me, but I think this is Jaguars or nothing. I don't think it's very close.
So I'm making it easy, man. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Like, don't bet the Jags until they prove you something. I know, and I just, when Joe Burrow's at the helm, the Bengals are 9-4-1 against the spread. The only time they've ever been a favorite was when they played the Jaguars and Joe Burrow 2 years ago. It was the last year or 2 years, I forget what it was. And they covered. So there's only been one instance where they've been in the spot and they cover. So I don't want to complicate it. I just think that it's instead of I'm not putting money. So you know what? I'll do it. I'll just do it, Dan. Give me the Bengals, whatever the number is. What's the number?
7.5. Okay.
Give it to me.
Right.
7.5 Bengals.
Okay. All right.
And, now just hear me out on it.
Okay.
Just hear me out. This is clearly just I can't back the Jaguars right now. Now, granted, this would be a spot where I would on a short week with the line movement. It comes down to the team here for me. Like, again, you mentioned the Texans. Nobody thought it, but the way everything went. This is one of those weeks, man, where you might not want to back a team, but you have to because of the trend. And we'll get into other games later on this weekend that I think we already know a couple. Tonight, I'm taking the better team that's been in the spot before, fading the rookie coach, fading the rookie quarterback, and I'm just hoping it's more than a touchdown.
I don't see it. I think this is going to be a competitive game. The Jaguars have been better the last 2 weeks. They're not a great team, but I got to be perfectly honest with you. I don't really think Cincinnati is that great of a team. I think they've had, a nice schedule so far. They got the Vikings on the road in the week 1. Literally, they were horrible against the Bears. They had 3 points, I think, at half in that game. They looked like they didn't even belong. Sorry, they got shut out in the first half of that game. They looked like they didn't even belong in that game. And since he made a crazy comeback in the fourth quarter after the Bears, had scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth, and since he comes back, he makes it actually look like a game. But they got shut out by the Bears. And then the Steelers, in my opinion, the Steelers are – we'll talk about this week. This might be a good spot to buy low on the Steelers this week, but just in general, the Steelers don't look like a competitive football team. And again, it's early in the season. I think that you probably should feel very similar about the Steelers as you kind of do the Patriots right now. Is they're those two teams. They don't look super competitive, but have a win against the Packers, have a win against the Bucks. I think you might start buying into them. I think the Jaguars get their first win here, man. I really thought that they should have at very least covered the spread last week. They were very competitive. They were leading at half against the Cardinals, who are a very good football team. Again, in my opinion, this is Jags or nothing. Again, let's not forget the Jaguars got out to an early lead against the Broncos too. This is not a team that's going to go winless this year. They're still competitive at the quarterback position. He's going to make mistakes. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be some world quarterback, all world quarterback, but I think he'll be, an NFL level quarterback. I think, you know what? Give me the Jaguars plus 7.5.
Wow.
I think, listen, this is not one of my 5 favorite spots this week, but I think the Bengals tonight are. It's just a play because you're overreacting to what happened last week, and you're forgetting who the Bengals are. The Bengals are a bad football team. They have not been a good team. I'm definitely not laying 7.5 with them. And again, I know they beat the Vikings week 1, and I know they had a really good win last week. But this is a 2-2 football team. This is probably a 1-3 football team if they're facing a different, a different schedule. So yeah. You and me are going head to head tonight.
Wow, very interesting, Dan. So here we are. You're on one side, I'm on the other, and let's see what happens when it comes to any thoughts on the total at all?
I gotta be perfectly honest with you, man. Everyone's probably going to be on the over because it's primetime game. Primetime overs are 6-1, 7-1, whatever it is at this point. I think that's probably going to be something big. I still think the side is probably the under, but I got no true lean. Got no true lean in the total tonight. I think this game could go. Many different ways in terms of either of these teams, winning this game in a certain style. So I don't feel great about a total in this one whatsoever. But I do. I feel very strongly about the Jaguars. They got up to 8.5. There's been some very sharp buyback from 8.5 to 7.5 at this time. So yeah, I think I'll just stick with the 7.5.
All right. And then there's one college football game tonight that we should get to. So I know you liked Virginia a week ago, and Wake Forest happened.
I like Wake. I was on Wake last week.
Okay, yeah, I was on Wake too. I think. All right. So I guess I'm confused about that one then. All right. So
I love Virginia's quarterback though. I do love. I love the quarterback. Yeah.
Well, that's probably one thing to look at here. So, last 5 meetings, Virginia's owned this series when they go to Miami. The under has been a strong play. 6-1 last 7 meetings. Team on the road, 7-3 against the spread last 10 meetings. So, Virginia's got some love here, and I saw a few trends earlier. I wanted to pull this up actually. Because there are a lot of things that don't favor Miami tonight. Like, dude, I don't know the last time that they have been like a good team. Like, I know they've had some nice seasons, right? But since Manny Diaz has taken over that team, dude, it's been bad. It's been crap. And I'll get you some trends coming up in a little bit here because we're going to go over the whole college football board at some point today. But yeah, man, the more I look at Miami tonight, I don't like them in the spot. I don't know if I'm going to back Miami at any point right now.
Yeah, I understand that. They're also on the road at UNC next week, so it's not a desirable spot for me to back them either. At the same time, Virginia is on their first leg of a back-to-back roadie. You know how I feel about those back-to-back trips for these Power 5 conferences. They don't happen a lot, so therefore, when Power 5s go on the back-to-back road trips, they struggle mightily. I also don't know exactly what Virginia is as a team. I love Brennan Armstrong as a quarterback, but as a team, I don't know. I saw a really good performance against William and Mary. That really doesn't mean shit. A really good win against Illinois, who that win is looking increasingly worse and worse every week. They had a great first half against UNC, and since then, they haven't done anything. They got absolutely bit slapped in the second half by Sam Howell and that UNC team. And then last week versus Wake, they absolutely no-showed in a game where I thought they would at least be competitive. I liked Wake, and that was the side that I leaned. But I saw that they would be competitive in a game where they're home. So that was also rather disappointing. I will say it's a Thursday night in Miami. It's obviously on Friday night. I think they could probably get an edge to a Friday night there, but still, it's still going to be pretty loud in Miami. It's not exactly a desirable place to play, but the other thing that does, Miami doesn't have a road game yet. They've had home or neutral games against Bama, App State, Michigan State, and they've really put up eggs versus the better teams. Michigan State, Alabama, they barely beat App State, which kind of puts me as I think they're App State-ish level, and I don't even know if Virginia is at that level. I don't know if they deserve to kind of be in that level. I still think that Miami has a bye next week before they go in their first road game at UNC. People in the ACC set them up for success this year. I just don't think they're good enough. And I just, I think they win tonight. I do think they pull it out against Virginia. I think people are liking Virginia too much. And I saw this spread was up to 5.5 yesterday. And we're seeing 3.5s pop right now across the board, which is really, really surprising. The way that the line has moved, it went from up to 5.5 down to 4. Now we're popping 3.5 some places. This game may close in 3.5 by 7:30. Listen, I don't love this one, Joe. I know this is a game where I think honestly I'd probably avoid. I lean. I lean Miami if you're making me choose a side, but this is a game I'm staying absolutely clear from tonight.
So check this out. Miami has failed to cover 5 of its last 6 games as a favorite. This is just FBS opponents because they've lost to other ones. Those 6 games resulted in 2 losses by at least 21 points. There was also a 48-point win and wins by 2, 3, and 5 points in those games. If you want to even go further, there's 7-13 against the spread with 9 outright losses. Underdogs have covered 9 of the last 11 in 12 of the last 16 meetings. Again, with Virginia that we mentioned. The last 3 meetings, total points in this game, 33, 26, and 29. Holy crap, it stayed under, huh?
Yeah.
So, as I said, the under recent is what, 2 years a king, and that's not a lot of points, Dan.
No, it's not. I understand why people are on the under right now. We're seeing 41% of the bet, but 62% of the money on the under. It's probably the sharper of the sides, although we haven't really seen a big move. There is a 63 at Bovada, but Bovada's fucking trash with all their lines. So, that's probably just a shameless bump up to cover some over money that they have because it's a square site. I look at the board, honestly, I don't love anything in this game. Now, I am on the other college game tonight, the FCS Arkansas Pine Bluff Prairie View game tonight. I put out Arkansas our Prairie View -7. That is down to 6.5, which is crazy. You and me, Joe, both of us have been very good at CLV this year, but not on this game. Definitely Arkansas Pine Bluff is it is the sharper side without a doubt tonight. I just look at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and the way that I diagnose them is that they are a team that is, again, overvalued in the market coming off a win last week that we talked about. I liked in a certain situation against Alcorn State. So they didn't win the game. They lost by 1, but they covered the number versus Alcorn State. They were terrible in that second half. I expect that to continue because really Pine Bluff has not been great this season. When they faced Central Arkansas, they were dog shit in the second half again. Especially in the first half too. They just were dog shit that game. Meanwhile, Prairie View, in my opinion, is a team that actually has played very well this year. Their only loss was to Incarnate Word, who is a upper echelon FCS team. They just beat Texas State a couple weeks ago. But Prairie View beat Texas Southern 40-17. They beat Houston Baptist. You know how good Houston Baptist was last year, 37-27. They beat Grambling State 24-10. I think in the FCS level, especially, you're going to get some of these square sides. I like them against Pine Bluff tonight, laying the touchdown. Might be a dumb play. Might be a lift shot special where it looks bad. I don't care.
All right. I don't like Miami. Virginia's off that embarrassing loss a week ago. 62 seems like a lot of points to me. Now, what the hell? Give me the under, Dan.
All right, BP. There you go. By the way, it's 62.5, not 62.
All right.
Yep.
That's it. You got the FCS. I gave out 2 picks tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. And I'm also going to be looking at these WNBA games tonight for some second halves there. I didn't like anything pregame. These lines have been tight in these playoff series, but second half, look out. Be on the lookout for some potential second halves in either college, NFL, or WNBA tonight. I'm looking at all the options.
That's it. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be back for our weekly college football breakdown, which will be out in just a few hours. So that's it for tonight.
Good luck, everybody.